Captain Deho checked the navigation display one more time. The blue dots showed his small cargo ship moving steadily through space toward the Kepler relay station. Everything looked normal. The stars outside the window stayed in their usual places. His coffee was still warm in the metal cup beside his chair. "How much longer until we reach the station?" asked Myung from her seat at the navigation console. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel as she made small adjustments to their course. "About 2 hours," Deho replied. He stretched his arms above his head and yawned. They had been traveling for 3 days straight from Earth with a cargo hold full of rare metals. It was a good run that would pay well when they delivered the goods. Hyen-Woo looked up from the engine readings he was studying. "Everything looks good back here. The new plasma drives are running perfectly. We should have no problems reaching the station on time." Janae sat quietly in the corner reading a medical journal on her tablet. As the ship's doctor, she usually had little to do during the quiet space runs. She preferred it that way. Peaceful trips meant her crew stayed healthy and safe. The Wandering Star was not a large ship. It carried cargo between Earth and the outer colonies. Deho had bought it 5 years ago, with money he saved from working on other people's ships. Now he was his own captain, with his own crew. Life was good. "Contact on the scanner," Myung said suddenly. Her voice was different now, worried. 3 ships coming toward us fast." Deho leaned forward to look at her screen. 3 red dots were moving toward their position. They were big dots, much bigger than the Wandering Star. "Can you tell what kind of ships they are?" he asked. Myung worked at her controls for a few seconds. "Unknown design. They're not showing any identification signals. And Captain, they're moving really fast. Faster than any cargo ships should be able to move." Hyen-Woo was already moving toward the engine controls. "Should I prepare the jump drive? We can be out of here in 60 seconds. Before Deho could answer, the communication system came alive with a harsh voice, speaking in broken human language. "Human ship, you will stop your engines now. You will prepare to be boarded. If you try to run, we will destroy you." The voice did not sound human. It was too rough, like rocks grinding together. Deho felt his stomach drop. Pirates, and not human pirates. "This is Captain Deho of the merchant vessel Wandering Star. We are carrying legal cargo to Kepler Station. We have done nothing wrong." "You have done nothing wrong yet," the alien voice replied. "But you have something we want. Stop your engines now." The 3 ships were getting closer. Through the front window, Deho could see them now. They were ugly ships with too many weapons attached to their hulls. Dark metal covered in spikes and sharp edges. Whoever built these ships wanted them to look scary. "Hyen-Woo, can we outrun them?" Deho asked quietly. Hyen-Woo was studying his engine readings. "Maybe, but not all of us. Those ships are built for speed and fighting. If we run, they'll catch us before we can jump to hyperspace." "What about the cargo?" Myung asked. "Maybe if we give them what they want, they'll let us go." Janae looked up from her tablet. "Pirates don't usually let witnesses go free, especially alien pirates who attack human ships." Deho knew she was right. These aliens had already committed a crime by threatening them. They would not want the Galactic Council to hear about it. Dead witnesses could not file reports. "Captain," the alien voice came again. "You have 30 seconds to stop your engines. After that, we start shooting." The 3 alien ships were now close enough that Deho could see details on their hulls. Burn marks from old battles, weapon ports that looked like hungry mouths. These were not traders or explorers. These were killers. "Everyone listen to me," Deho said calmly. "I want you to get to the escape pods right now. Take only what you can carry in your hands." "Captain, we're not leaving without you," Hyen-Woo said. "Yes, you are. That's an order." Deho was already moving toward the ship's main controls. "I'm going to keep them busy while you get away. The pods are small and fast. They won't waste time chasing you when they have the main ship." "Deho, don't be stupid," Janae said. "We can all fit in the pods together. No time, and if we all run, they might chase all of us. This way, you 3 get away for sure." He was typing commands into the control system as he spoke. "Myung, I'm sending you all the ship's data files. Take them to the authorities at Kepler Station." 10 seconds, human ship, the alien voice said. "Go now," Deho ordered. "That's a direct order from your captain." His crew looked at him for a moment. They all knew he was right, but none of them wanted to leave him behind. Finally, Hyan-Woo nodded. "We'll come back for you, Captain." "I promise I know you will," Daeho replied, but he was not sure if he believed it. The 3 crew members ran toward the escape pod bay. Daeho heard their footsteps in the corridor, getting quieter and quieter. Then he heard the sound of the pods launching. 3 small ships shot away from the wandering star toward empty space. The alien ships immediately turned toward the escape pods, but Daeho was ready. He fired the cargo ship's small defensive weapons at the nearest alien vessel. The shots did not do much damage, but they got the aliens' attention. "You want me? Come and get me," he said into the communication system. The alien ships turned back toward him. Energy beams shot out from their weapons and hit the wandering star's hull. The lights flickered and alarms started ringing. The ship shook like it was caught in an earthquake. More weapon beams hit the ship. This time they found the engine room. Hyan-Woo's beautiful new plasma drives went quiet. The wandering star stopped moving forward and began to drift. "Human ship is disabled," one of the aliens said to another in their grinding language. Daeho's universal translator turned their words into human language in his earpiece. "Prepare boarding parties. The human is ours." Through the window, Daeho could see one of the alien ships getting closer. A long metal tube extended from its side toward his ship. A boarding tube. Soon, the aliens would be walking through his corridors. He sat back in his captain's chair and waited. At least his crew was safe. The escape pods were small and hard to track. By now, they were probably far enough away to jump to hyperspace. They would reach Kepler Station and report what happened here. The sound of cutting tools came from the main airlock. The aliens were burning through the door. It would not take them long. Daeho thought about his ship and his crew and his life as a free captain. It had been a good life. Short, but good. He hoped whoever found him would understand that he had tried to do the right thing. The airlock door fell open with a loud crash. Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor. The aliens were coming. He waited for them to find him. Admiral Sojin stood in the command center of Luna Base, looking at the large screen that showed all human ships in the galaxy. Green dots moved slowly across the dark map like fireflies in the night. Each dot was a human crew somewhere far from home. One dot had just turned red. "Tell me what happened," she said to Commander Minho, who was sitting at the communication station. "The wandering star missed its scheduled check-in 2 hours ago," Minho reported. "We tried to contact Captain Daeho on all frequencies." Response: "The ship's emergency beacon is not working either." Sojin felt a cold feeling in her stomach. In 20 years of military service, she had learned to trust that feeling. It usually meant trouble was coming. What was the wandering star carrying? Standard cargo run from Earth to Kepler Station. Rare metals for the colony there, nothing special or dangerous. Where did we lose contact? Minho touched his screen, and a section of the star map grew larger. Here, in the empty space between the Rigel system and Kepler Station. It's a quiet area. No military patrols, no major shipping lanes. Perfect place for pirates, Sojin said quietly. She walked to another station where Lieutenant Unesio was monitoring deep space communications. Any distress signals in that area? Any reports of trouble? Nothing on the official channels, Unesio replied. But I'm picking up some interesting chatter on the criminal frequencies. Someone is bragging about catching a rare prize. Sojin leaned over to look at Unesio's screen. Numbers and alien symbols scrolled past too fast for normal eyes to follow. But Unesio was not normal. She was one of the best code breakers in human space. Can you decode it? Most of it? Yes, it's Vorthok language. They're talking about capturing a human ship. One human crew member got away in escape pods, but they caught the captain. The cold feeling in Sojin's stomach got worse. The Vorthok were one of the most dangerous criminal groups in the galaxy. They dealt in slaves, weapons, and anything else that made money. They were also smart enough to avoid human ships, until now. Are you sure it's our ship? The timing matches. And they mentioned the cargo type. It has to be the Wandering Star. Sojin walked back to the center of the command room. Around her, dozens of officers worked at their stations. They looked like any other military command, center in human space. But they were much more than that. Minho, activate Protocol 7. Every person in the room stopped what they were doing and looked at her. Protocol 7 had never been used before. It was the signal that meant a human citizen had been captured by hostile aliens. It was also the signal that meant humanity was going to war. "Admiral, are you sure?" Minho asked. "Protocol 7 means full mobilization. Every asset, every agent, every hidden ship, I'm sure. The Vortex just made the worst mistake of their lives." Minho nodded and began typing commands into his station. Protocol 7 is now active. All stations are receiving the signal. Across the galaxy, the message began to spread through quantum communication channels that most aliens did not even know existed. On trade stations and colony worlds, in alien cities, and on remote outposts, humans received the signal. It was a simple message: human citizen captured. Execute all contingencies. On the casino world of Valoran, Sung-ho was serving drinks to alien gamblers when his wrist communicator vibrated with the special signal. He was supposed to be a simple human bartender working for tips. The aliens thought he was harmless and barely noticed him anymore. That was exactly what he wanted them to think. He finished serving the drinks and walked to the back room. There, hidden behind boxes of alcohol, was a communication device that could reach anywhere in the galaxy. He began sending messages to other human agents throughout the Valoran system. On the mining world of Korath, Yunji was cataloging mineral samples in a laboratory. She wore the simple clothes of a research assistant. The alien supervisors treated her like a servant, giving her the boring jobs that no one else wanted to do. They had no idea that she had 3 advanced degrees in chemistry and knew more about explosives than anyone else on the planet. When her communicator gave the Protocol 7 signal, she stopped counting mineral samples and started planning which mining operations would have the most spectacular accidents in the Nexus system. One Sikh was attending a fancy dinner party with some of the richest criminals in the galaxy. He was supposed to be a wealthy human trader who bought and sold exotic goods. The other guests thought he was useful for moving products between human and alien worlds. They trusted him because he had been building this identity for 10 years. He excused himself from the dinner and went to his private ship. Inside his cabin, he opened a hidden compartment and took out equipment that definitely did not belong. To a simple trader, communication devices, weapons, and data storage units that contained information about every criminal operation in 3-star systems, all across the galaxy. Similar scenes were happening. Humans who had been living quiet lives as traders, researchers, servants, and workers began to reveal their true purpose. They were not really merchants or scientists. They were intelligence agents for the Human Defense Command. Back on Luna Base, Admiral Sojin watched the reports coming in from across the galaxy. Dozens of agents were confirming that they had received the signal and were beginning operations. "How many people do we have out there?" asked Commander Minho. "More than the aliens think," Sojin replied. "We've been placing agents in alien societies for 30 years. They think humans are just peaceful traders who want to make friends and do business. They have no idea that we've been watching and learning everything about them. What's our next step? First, we find Captain Deho. Second, we get him back. Third, we make sure everyone in the galaxy understands what happens when you take a human citizen." Lieutenant Unesio looked up from her communication station. "Admiral, I'm getting reports from the Kepler system. 3 escape pods just arrived." At the station, they're from the Wandering Star. Put me in contact with them immediately. A few moments later, the main screen showed 3 faces. They looked tired and worried, but they were alive. Sojin recognized them from Deho's crew files. "This is Admiral Sojin of Human Defense Command." "Are you injured?" "No, ma'am," replied Hyan-Woo, "but they have our captain, the Vortex, captured. Him. Tell me everything that happened." For the next 20 minutes, the 3 crew members described the attack. They told her about the alien ships, the weapons, and how Deho had stayed behind to let them escape. "Did you see which direction?" "They went," Sojin asked. "Yes," said Myung. "They jumped to hyperspace on a heading toward the outer rim. I recorded the energy signature of their jump drives." "Excellent. We'll use that to track them." Admiral Hyan-Woo said, "Captain Deho saved our lives. He's a good man. Please bring him home." "We will," Sojin promised. "The Vortex think they caught an easy target. They're about to learn how wrong they are." She ended the communication and turned to her staff. "I want tracking analysis on that hyperspace signature. I want intelligence reports on all operations, and I want our combat units ready to move in 6 hours." "Yes, ma'am," her officers replied. So Jin looked back at the star map. The red dot that represented the wandering star was gone now, but soon there would be many more red dots. Red dots representing Vorthok ships that were about to have very bad days. The galaxy was about to learn something new about humans. They were not just friendly traders and explorers, they were also the most dangerous hunters in known space, and someone had just taken one of their own. The escape pods docked at Proxima Station with gentle bumps that barely shook the small ships. Hyun-woo, Myung, and Janae stepped out onto the station's loading bay, their legs still weak from 3 days in the cramped pods. Commander Tommen was waiting for them. He was a tall man with serious eyes and the kind of calm voice that made people feel safe. Behind him stood 6 other humans in military uniforms that looked much more advanced than anything the local authorities had. "I'm Commander Taemin, Human Defense Command," he said. "Admiral Sojin sent me to help you. We're going to get your—" Captain Beck, Hyun-woo, felt some of the weight lift from his shoulders. For 3 days he had been thinking about Daeho alone with those alien pirates. Now there were people who could actually do something about it. "Do you know where they took—" Him Young asked. "We're working on that. Your hyperspace signature data was very helpful. Our tracking computers are following the trail right now." Taemin led them through the station corridors toward a secure section that normal civilians never saw. "How many ships do you have?" Janae wanted to know. "Enough," Taemin replied. "But first, we need to know exactly where to find him. The Vorthoks have bases on dozens of worlds. We need to hit the right one." They entered a room filled with communication, equipment, and computer screens. Several humans were working at the stations, talking quietly into headsets and typing commands. It looked like a military command center, but it was hidden inside what appeared to be a normal trading station. "Sir," one of the technicians called. "Out, we're getting reports from our agents in the field. The Vorthoks are moving." Taemin walked over to look at the main screen. It showed a map of local star systems with colored dots moving around like pieces on a game board. "What kind of movement?" he asked. "Ships heading toward Nexus Prime. It looks like they're concentrating their forces there. That's probably where they're taking the captain." Nexus Prime. Hyun-woo had heard of that place. It was a criminal haven in the Outer Rim, where law enforcement never went. If the Vorthoks had taken Daeho there, it would be like trying to rescue someone from the middle of an enemy army. Meanwhile, thousands of light years away, other humans were already beginning their work on Valoran. Sung-ho was serving drinks to a table of Vorthok officers who were celebrating something. They were speaking loudly in their harsh language about a successful raid. They kept mentioning something about a rare human specimen that would make them rich. Seung-ho smiled and nodded as he filled their glasses. The aliens thought he was just a friendly bartender who didn't understand their language. They had no idea that he spoke Vorthok better than most Vorthoks did. "More drinks for the successful warriors," he said in perfect Vorthok, which made them laugh and slap him on the back like he was their friend. One of the Vorthoks, who had obviously drunk too much, leaned close to Sung. "You want to know a secret, human? We just caught one of your people. Going to sell him for more money than you make in 10 years? Really?" Sung-ho acted impressed. "Your people are so clever. Where did you find this human?" "Grabbed his ship. Near Kepler Station. Easy work. Humans are weak. They don't fight back properly. Where is this human now?" Sung-ho asked while pretending to clean glasses. "Nexus Prime. Big Boss Dexmore wants to show him to buyers personally. Going to be a great sale." Sung-ho nodded and smiled. "I hope you get a good price." He finished serving the drinks and walked back to the bar. Then he sent a coded message to Commander Taemin confirming the location. Nexus Prime, just as they had suspected. On the industrial world of Korath-Hyun-ji was having her own kind of fun. The Vorthoks had several mining operations on this planet, and she had been studying them for months. She knew which tunnels were the most important, which equipment was the most expensive, and which accidents would cause the most problems. Her first target was the main power station that supplied electricity to 3 different mines. She had been working there as a maintenance assistant for 2 years. Everyone trusted her to fix small problems and keep the equipment running smoothly. What they didn't know was that she had been making tiny changes to the power systems all along, adding small devices that looked like normal repair parts but were Actually, very sophisticated bombs. All she had to do was activate them. She pressed a button on a device that looked like a regular tool. Across the valley, the power station exploded in a ball of bright fire. The 3 mines went dark immediately. Thousands of Vorthok workers were now trapped underground with no lights and no air circulation. It would take days to rescue them all. Days when they couldn't be working on other Vorthok projects. EU Ungi smiled and moved on to her next target. Similar things were happening on other worlds. A Vorthok weapons factory on Titan 7 suffered a mysterious computer virus that shut down all production. A Vorthok trading post in the Centauri system discovered that all their financial accounts had been emptied by unknown hackers. 3 Vorthok cargo ships disappeared in different star systems. Their crews found floating in space with no memory of what had happened to their vessels back on Proxima Station. Commander Taman was receiving reports from across the galaxy. Each message told the same story. Vorthok operations were failing everywhere. "Sir," his communication officer said, "we're getting a priority message from OneSeek on Nexus Prime." Put him through. The main screen showed a well-dressed human man sitting in what looked like an expensive office. OneSeek had been building his cover identity as a wealthy trader for many years. To the criminals on Nexus Prime, he was just another businessman looking to make profitable deals. Commander OneSeek said quietly, "I can confirm that the target is here on Nexus Prime. The Vorthoks are planning to auction him tomorrow night at the Grand Casino. I'm going to try to get invited." "To the auction? Is that safe?" Taman asked. "Probably not, but it's our best chance to get close to him. I've been building relationships with these people for 10 years. They trust me enough to let me bid on valuable items. What do you need from us?" "A way to get the target out once I locate him. The station has heavy security and lots of weapons." "It won't be easy." Taman looked at the star map showing the location of Nexus Prime. It was deep in criminal territory. Surrounded by hostile systems, getting there would be dangerous. Getting out would be worse. "We'll figure something out," he said. "Just find him and keep him safe until we arrive." "Understood." OneSeek out. The screen went dark. Taman turned to his staff. "I want our fastest ships ready to go. We're going to Nexus Prime." "Sir," one of his officers said, "that's enemy territory. If we go in with military ships, they'll see us coming from light years away. Then we don't use military ships. We use ships that look like something else. Trading vessels, cargo haulers, passenger liners, anything that won't attract attention." Hyenwu stepped forward. "Commander, I want to go with you. Captain Deho is my friend. I need to help rescue him." "This is going to be very dangerous," Taman warned. "I don't care. He saved our lives. Now we need to save his." Myung and Jin'e nodded their agreement. "We're going to," Myung said. "We know the captain better than anyone. We might be able to help." Taman looked at the 3 civilians. They were not soldiers, but they were brave. And sometimes courage was more important than training. "All right," he said, "but you follow. Orders without question. One mistake, and we all die." "Understood," Hyenwu replied as the humans prepared for their rescue mission. The Vortex were beginning to realize that something was wrong. Their operations were failing across the galaxy. Ships were disappearing. Bases were exploding. Money was vanishing. But they didn't connect these problems to the human they had captured. They still thought humans were weak and harmless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Dexmore stood in his private office on Nexus Prime, looking at the human who sat tied to a chair in front of him. Captain Deho had been his prisoner for 3 days now, and the human still showed no fear. This bothered Dexmore more than he wanted to admit. "You are very calm for someone who is about to be sold," Dexmore said in his rough voice. His 4 arms moved as he talked, a nervous habit he had when dealing with problems. Deho looked up at the alien crime lord. "Being afraid won't change anything. You're going to do what you're going to do." "Smart answer. That's good. Smart slaves sell for more money. I'm not a slave. I'm a citizen of Earth and the Human Colonial Alliance. My people will come looking for me." Dexmore laughed, a sound like rocks falling down a mountain. "Your people?" "Humans are traders and explorers. They don't fight wars, they make deals and count money. No one is coming to save you." Deho said nothing, but something in his eyes made Dexmore feel uncomfortable. The human looked like he knew something that Dexmore did not. Besides, Vexmore continued, even if your people wanted to find you, they would never think to look on Nexus Prime. This station is hidden in deep space. Your military doesn't even know it exists. You might be surprised, Deho said quietly. At that moment, one of Vexmore's lieutenants came into the office. Boss, we have a problem. Our operations on Korath have stopped working. Someone destroyed the power station and 3 mines. Vexmore turned away from Deho to look at his officer. Destroyed how? Explosions. Very precise explosions. Whoever did it knew exactly where to hit us to cause the most damage. Industrial accident? No, sir. This was planned. Someone has been studying our operations for a long time. Vexmore felt a small worry start in his stomach. What about our other operations? That's the problem, sir. We're getting reports from all over the galaxy. Factories destroyed, ships missing, bank accounts emptied. Someone is attacking us everywhere at once. The worry in Vexmore's stomach grew larger. Who could do such a thing? We have enemies, but none of them are powerful enough to hit us in so many places. We don't know, sir, but whoever it is, they're very good at their job. Vexmore looked back at Deho. The human was still sitting, calmly, but now there was something that might have been a small smile on his face. Get out, Vexmore told his lieutenant, and find out who is attacking us. The officer left, and Vexmore was alone with his prisoner again. He walked close to Deho's chair and leaned down so their faces were only inches apart. Do you know something about this? I know that taking a human citizen was a mistake, Deho replied. I tried to warn you, humans don't have the power to do what's happening to my organization. You keep saying that, but you don't really know anything about humans, do you? You think we're weak because we prefer trading to fighting? You think we're stupid because we try to make friends instead of enemies. Vexmore grabbed Deho by the front of his shirt. Tell me what you know. I know that you should have left my ship alone. I know that you should have minded your own business. And I know that you're about to learn something about humans that most aliens never get a chance to learn. What's that we don't forget? And we don't forgive. And when you hurt one of us, you hurt all of us. Before Vexmore could respond, another officer ran into the room. Boss, urgent message from the communication center. We're receiving a transmission from someone who wants to buy the human. Vexmore let go of Deho and straightened up. Business was business, even when other business was going wrong. Who is it? Rich trader named OneSeek. He's been doing business on the station for years. Always pays well for unusual items. Good. The sooner we sell this human, the sooner we can focus on our other problems. Set up a meeting for tonight. Yes, sir. The officer left, and Vexmore looked at Deho one more time. Enjoy your last day as my guest. Tomorrow, you'll belong to someone else. We'll see, Deho said, several hours later. OneSeek arrived at Vexmore's office wearing expensive clothes and carrying a briefcase full of money. He looked like exactly what he was supposed to look like, a wealthy human trader who collected rare and valuable things. Vexmore, my friend, OneSeek said with a big smile. I hear you have something special for me. Very special. A live human in perfect condition. Strong, healthy, intelligent. He would make an excellent servant or display peace. OneSeek walked around Deho's chair, pretending to examine him like a piece of merchandise. He does look healthy. What's his background? Ship captain. Knows how to operate human technology. Could be useful for someone who wants to understand human systems. Interesting. OneSeek opened his briefcase and showed stacks of money. I can offer you 2 million credits. Vexmore's eyes grew wide. It was more money than he had expected. That's very generous. I collect rare things. This human would be the crown jewel of my collection. While they talked about money, OneSeek was secretly placing tiny electronic devices around the room. They looked like decorations or small repair tools, but they were actually listening devices and signal transmitters. Within minutes, every word spoken in Vexmore's office would be heard by Human Defense Command. We have a deal, Vexmore said, taking the money. The human is yours. Excellent. I'll have my people pick him up tomorrow morning. I need time to prepare proper transportation. Of course, he'll be ready. OneSeek shook hands with Vexmore and left the office. As soon as he was alone, he activated a hidden communicator and sent a message to Commander Tammin, target located, and purchase confirmed. Ready for extraction tomorrow morning. building layout and security information uploaded to your systems. Back on Proxima Station, Commander Taman received the message and smiled. Phase 1 of the rescue operation was complete. Now came the hard part. All teams prepare for departure, he announced to his strike force. We leave for Nexus Prime in 1 hour. Hyun Moo Myung and Jin A checked their equipment one more time. They were not soldiers, but they had trained hard for 3 days to learn basic combat skills. They would not be fighting on the front lines, but they needed to be ready for anything. Remember, Taman told them, our job is to get Captain Daeho out safely. We're not trying to destroy the entire station. We go in fast, grab him, and leave before they can organize a response. What if something goes wrong? Myung asked. Then we improvise. But nothing is going to go wrong. We've planned this operation perfectly, as the human rescue ships prepared to leave for Nexus Prime. Vexmore was receiving more bad news from across his criminal empire. Half of his operations had been destroyed or damaged. His bank accounts were empty. Ships were disappearing faster than he could replace them. But he still did not understand that all of these problems were connected to the human sitting in his office. He was about to learn the truth in the worst possible way. Admiral Sojin stood in the command center on Luna Base, watching 17 different star systems on the main display screen. Each system had Vorthok operations that were about to have very bad days. All strike teams report, ready Commander, Minho announced from his station. Intelligence confirms all targets are in position, added Lieutenant EUN-SEO. Sojin nodded. For 3 days, human agents had been gathering information about every Vorthok base, ship, and operation in the galaxy. Now it was time to use that information. Execute Operation Cleansing Fire, she ordered. Across the galaxy, human ships that had been hiding for years suddenly revealed their true nature. Cargo vessels dropped false hulls to show advanced weapons. Passenger liners opened secret bays filled with fighter craft. Research ships activated military-grade shields and targeting systems. The Vortex had been so focused on humans as peaceful traders that they never noticed the warships hiding among the merchant fleets in the Rigel system. 3. Vorthok Patrol. Ships were guarding a weapons factory when civilian-looking human transports appeared on their scanners. The Vorthok captains barely had time to laugh about stupid humans wandering into their territory before the transports launched. Missiles that destroyed all 3 ships in seconds. The weapons factory lasted 30 more seconds in the Centauri system. A Vorthok base built inside a large asteroid suddenly found itself surrounded by human ships that seemed to appear from nowhere. The base commander sent distress signals, but before anyone could respond, the asteroid was nothing but floating rocks. On the industrial world of Titan 7, Vorthok ground forces watched in confusion as their vehicles stopped working. Unknown. To them, human agent Borum had spent 2 years working in their motor pool, making tiny changes to every engine and computer system. When she activated the hidden programs, every Vorthok vehicle on the planet shut down at the same time. Then the human ships arrived to finish the job. Commander Taman was leading his own part of the operation, racing toward Nexus Prime with a small fleet of ships that looked like harmless traders. His strike team included Hyunwoo, Myung, Jin-ae, and 12 Special Forces soldiers who were experts at this kind of work. How long until we reach the station? He asked his pilot. 20 minutes, sir. We're still showing up as civilian traffic on their scanners. Good, remember, we want Captain Daeho out safely. Everything else is secondary. In the back of the ship, Sergeant Haewon was checking weapons and equipment with her team. She had been fighting criminals and pirates for 15 years, but this mission felt different. Personal. Sir, she said to Taman, what if the station tries to run when they see us coming? They won't run. Nexus Prime is too big and too slow, and besides, they still don't know we're anything other than merchants. On Nexus Prime, Vexmore was getting more bad news every hour. His empire was collapsing faster than he could understand. Bases destroyed, ships missing, money gone. He had built his criminal organization over 20 years, and it was disappearing in 3 days. Sir, one of his officers reported, we've lost contact with our main base in the Rigel system. What do you mean, lost contact? The base is gone, sir, destroyed. Along with the 3 guard ships and the weapons factory, Dexmore felt sick. The Rigel base was one of his most important operations. Who did this? Unknown, sir. The few survivors say human ships attacked them, but that's impossible. Why impossible? Because humans don't have warships. Sir, they're traders and explorers, not fighters. For the first time, Dexmore began to wonder if he had made a serious mistake. He looked toward the room where Deho was being held. The human had been very calm about being captured. To calm, sir, another officer interrupted his thoughts. We're detecting several ships approaching the station. They appear to be human merchants. How many ships? 6 vessels, all showing civilian identification codes. They're requesting permission to dock and conduct business. Dexmore thought about this, 6 human ships arriving just when his organization was under attack. It could be a coincidence, or it could be something else. Deny them docking permission. Tell them the station is closed for repairs. Sir, they're offering to pay extra fees for immediate service. A lot of extra fees. Money was something Dexmore needed right now. His criminal empire was expensive to run, and recent losses had been devastating. How much extra? Cover our operating costs for a month. Dexmore made his decision. Let them dock. But keep security teams ready. If anything seems wrong, we destroy their ships immediately. The human ships docked at Nexus Prime without any problems. Commander Taman and his team walked off their ships looking like normal traders carrying samples and datapads. No one suspected that their briefcases contained military-grade weapons and communication equipment once Seek met them at the docking bay, still playing his role as a wealthy collector. Welcome to Nexus Prime, gentlemen. I trust your journey was comfortable. Very comfortable, Taman replied. We're looking forward to doing business here. They walked through the station corridors, past alien criminals and illegal weapons dealers. Taman counted guard positions and security cameras. His team memorized the layout of every corridor and door. The target is being held in Nexmore's private section, one Seek said quietly. High security area, lots of guards and locked doors. Can you get us close? I have a meeting with Dexmore in 1 hour to finalize the purchase. That's when you'll have your best chance. As they talked, more reports were reaching Dexmore about the destruction of his empire. The Titan 7 base was gone. The Centauri operations had been destroyed. Half of his fleet was missing. Sir, his communication officer said with fear. In his voice, I'm receiving a transmission from Admiral Sojin of Human Defense Command. She wants to talk to you. Dexmore had never heard of Admiral Sojin, but the title made him nervous. Put her through. The main screen in his office showed a human woman in military uniform. Her eyes were cold and her voice was calm. Dexmore, of the Vorthok Syndicate. You have something that belongs to us. I don't know what you're talking about. You have Captain Deho of the merchant vessel Wandering Star. You will release him immediately. Dexmore laughed, but it did not sound confident. One human is not worth starting a war. You already started the war when you took him. We're just finishing it. You're bluffing. Humans don't fight wars. Look at your organization, Dexmore. Look at your bases, your ships, your operations. How many are left? For the first time, Dexmore understood. The attacks on his empire were not random. They were not accidents. They were revenge. You did this. All of it. We did this. Captain Deho is one of our people. When you take one of our people, you make an enemy of all our people. But humans are peaceful. You're traders and explorers. We are peaceful. We prefer trading to fighting. But when someone threatens our citizens, we stop being peaceful. We become something else entirely. Dexmore looked at the screen showing what was left of his criminal empire. Less than half of his operations were still working. In 3 days, humans had destroyed what it took him 20 years to build. What do you want? Release Captain Deho. Unharmed, surrender yourself to human authorities. Compensate the families of everyone your organization has hurt. Do this, and we'll let you live. And if I refuse, Admiral Sojin smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. Then, in 24 hours, there will be no Vorthok Syndicate left in the galaxy. And there will be no Dexmore either. The transmission ended. Dexmore stood alone in his office, finally understanding the terrible mistake he had made. He had thought humans were weak because they were peaceful. He had thought they were harmless because they preferred trade to war. Not weakness, it was a choice. And when humans chose war instead, They were very good at it. News of the Vorthok Syndicate's destruction spread through the galaxy's criminal networks faster than light speed. In the hidden bars and secret meeting places where pirates and smugglers gathered, the same conversation was happening everywhere. Did you hear what happened to Dexmore? The humans destroyed his entire organization in 3 days. I thought humans were harmless. So did Dexmore. Look how that worked out for him. On the criminal world of Shadowport, the leaders of the Zephyrian cartel held an emergency meeting in their heavily guarded compound. Crime boss Vexstar looked around the table at his lieutenants, all of whom seemed nervous. "Tell me exactly what we know about human operations in our territory," he ordered. His intelligence chief, a reptilian alien named Sithra, consulted her datapad. "We have 17 humans working in various positions throughout our organization. Traders, mechanics, information brokers, transport pilots. I want background checks on all of them. Deep background checks. If the humans have been placing agents in criminal organizations, we need to know who they are." "Sir," another lieutenant spoke up, "maybe we should just release any humans we have in custody." As a gesture of goodwill, Vexstar considered this. The Zephyrian cartel was smaller than the Vorthok Syndicate had been, but it was still powerful. He had worked hard to build his criminal empire and did not want to see it destroyed like Dexmore's. "Do we have any humans in our prisons?" "3, sir. 2 are serving sentences for smuggling violations. 1 is being held for unpaid debts. Release them immediately." "With apologies and compensation, sir. That will make us look weak. Weak is better than being dead." Similar conversations were happening in criminal organizations across the galaxy. The Nexus Brotherhood released 12 human prisoners and sent them home with gifts. The Outer Rim pirates banned their members from attacking any ships with human crews. The slave markets of Kepler formally announced that humans were no longer acceptable merchandise. But while the galaxy's criminals were learning to fear humanity, the rescue of Captain Deho was still in progress. On Nexus Prime, Commander Taman and his team were in position. One Seek had led them through the station's corridors to the secure section where Vexmore kept his most valuable prisoners. "The target is behind that door," One Seek whispered, pointing to a heavy metal barrier guarded by 4 Vorthok soldiers. "Vexmore is in his office on the other side of the corridor." Taman checked his watch. "In 60 seconds, the station's main power will have an accident. When the lights go out, we move." Hien Wu gripped his weapon tighter. He was not a soldier, but he was determined to help rescue his captain. Myung and Janae were positioned at the corridor entrance, ready to warn the team if more guards appeared. 30 seconds, Taman whispered. Somewhere in the station's engineering section, human agent Kyung Ho was making final adjustments to the power grid. He had been working as a maintenance engineer on Nexus Prime for 2 years, quietly learning every detail of the station's systems. Now all that knowledge was about to be very useful. 10 seconds. Kyung Ho pressed a button on his control panel. Throughout Nexus Prime, lights flickered and went out. Emergency power kicked in, but it only provided dim lighting in the main corridors. The secure section, where Deho was being held, went completely dark. The Vorthok guards cursed in their harsh language as they fumbled for emergency lights. Before they could find them, Taman and his team struck. The battle lasted less than 30 seconds. The guards never had a chance. Sergeant Haewon and her soldiers moved like shadows, their night vision equipment letting them see perfectly in the darkness. When the emergency lights finally came on, all 4 guards were unconscious on the floor. Tae-Min used a small explosive device to blow open the door to Deho's cell. Inside, he found the captain sitting calmly in his chair, apparently unsurprised by the rescue. "Took you long enough," Deho said with a smile. "Sorry for the delay, sir. We had to be thorough." Taman cut the ropes, holding Deho to the chair. "Can you walk? I can run if I have to." "You might have to. We need to get off this station before they organize a response." As they helped Deho to his feet, alarms began ringing throughout. Nexus Prime, Dexmore's voice, echoed from speakers in the corridors. "Security alert, the human prisoner has escaped. Seal all docking bays. No ships leave this station." But Dexmore's orders came too late. The human ships had already begun their departure procedures. And Nexus Prime's security systems were having mysterious problems that prevented them from stopping the ship's dot in the main docking bay. Human ships were powering up their engines. But instead of looking like harmless merchants, they now showed their true nature. Weapon ports opened, military shields activated. Advanced targeting systems came online. "This is Commander Taman to all human vessels." His voice came over the communication system. "Package recovered. Execute departure protocol." The human ships lifted off from Nexus Prime's docking bays and moved into formation. Station security tried to target them with defensive weapons, but found that their systems were not responding properly. Human hackers had been busy during the rescue operation. Vexmore watched from his office as the human ships disappeared into hyperspace. He knew that his prisoner was gone and that his organization was finished. But more importantly, he finally understood what he had done wrong. He had thought that capturing a human would be profitable. Instead, it had cost him everything he had, built over 20 years. On the bridge of the lead human ship, Daeho was reunited with his crew. Hyeonwoo, Myung, and Jinae gathered around their captain, relieved to see him safe and unharmed. Captain Hyeonwoo said, "I'm sorry we couldn't save you sooner. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. You got yourselves to safety and called for help. That's what saved all of us." "What happens now?" Myung asked. Commander Taman answered from the pilot's seat. "Now we go home, and the galaxy learns a lesson about what happens when you mess with human citizens." As the human ships traveled through hyperspace back to human territory, word of the successful rescue operation spread through both official and unofficial channels. The message was simple and clear. Humanity had hidden its true strength for decades, appearing to be nothing more than peaceful traders and explorers. But when one of their people was threatened, they had revealed themselves to be one of the most dangerous military forces in the galaxy. Criminal organizations everywhere began reviewing their policies regarding human citizens. The new rule was simple: leave humans alone. But for law-abiding species throughout the galaxy, the revelation of human military power was actually reassuring. If humans were this protective of their own people, they would probably be good allies. To have the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted. Humanity was no longer seen as a weak species that could be bullied or exploited. They were now recognized as a force to be respected and, if necessary, feared. And it had all started with the simple mistake of capturing one human captain who had been trying to protect his crew. 3 weeks after the rescue of Captain Daeho, the Galactic Council met in emergency session on the neutral world of Harmony Station. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the Great Assembly Hall, all talking about the same thing: the sudden revelation of human military power. Ambassador Krelthis of the Altarian Federation stood at the speaker's podium, his blue skin showing the stress marks that appeared when his species was worried. "Honored delegates," he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the hall, "we must address the elephant in the room. For 30 years, we have believed humans to be a peaceful trading species with limited military capabilities. Recent events have proven this assumption to be completely wrong." Murmurs of agreement came from around the hall. Everyone had heard about the destruction of the Vorthok Syndicate. The speed and precision of the human response had shocked governments throughout the galaxy. "The question before us today," Krelthis continued, "is what this means for galactic security and interspecies relations." Ambassador Chen Wei of the Human Colonial Alliance stood up from her seat in the front row. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes, but after recent events, everyone in the hall looked at her with new respect. "Honored delegates," she said as she walked to the podium, "I understand your concerns. You want to know if humanity represents a threat to galactic peace." The hall fell silent. Every delegate leaned forward to hear her words. "Let me be very clear about human policy. We are exactly what we have always claimed to be, a peaceful species that prefers trade and diplomacy to war. We want to be friends with every species in the galaxy." She paused and looked around the hall, meeting the eyes of delegates from dozens of different worlds. "But we will protect our people. When someone threatens a human citizen, they make an enemy of every human. In the galaxy, this is not negotiable. This is not subject to debate. This is simply how we are." Ambassador Velkarn of the Imperial Hegemony stood up. His species was known for being aggressive warriors, and his voice was skeptical. "You claim to be peaceful, but you destroyed an entire criminal organization in 3 days. You revealed military capabilities that none of us knew existed. Do we know you won't use this power against legitimate governments? Chen Wei smiled. Because legitimate governments don't kidnap our citizens. The Vorthok Syndicate was a criminal organization that dealt in slavery, murder, and theft. They made themselves our enemy when they captured Captain Deho. But your response was so overwhelming, pressed another delegate. You didn't just rescue your citizen. You eliminated every trace of the Vorthok organization throughout the galaxy. Yes, we did. We wanted to send a message that would be clearly understood by everyone. The message is simple. Leave human citizens alone. Ambassador Krelthus returned. To the podium, what guarantees can you give us that human military power will not be used for conquest or expansion? The same guarantee we have always given, Chen Wei replied. Our actions, for 30 years, humans have been peaceful neighbors and trading partners. We have never started a war. We have never conquered territory that didn't belong to us. We have never enslaved other species or demanded tribute from weaker governments. But now we know you had the power to do all of those things, Krelthus pointed out. Exactly, we had the power, but we chose not to use it. That should tell you everything you need to know about human intentions. The debate continued for several hours, but the conclusion was clear. The Galactic Council would not take any action against humanity. Instead, they would update their intelligence files and adjust their diplomatic strategies to account for human military capabilities. Meanwhile, throughout the galaxy, life was returning to normal with one important difference. The criminal underworld had learned a lesson that would not be forgotten. On the smuggling world of Haven's Rest, crime boss Jackson was holding a meeting with his captains. The subject was new operational procedures. Rule number 1, he announced. To the room full of pirates and thieves, no human targets. Ever. I don't care how much money someone offers. I don't care how easy the job looks. We do not mess with humans. But boss, one of his captains protested, humans carry valuable cargo. They're rich targets, they're suicide targets. Jackson replied firmly. Look what happened to Vex. He was the most powerful crime lord in 3 sectors, and the humans wiped him out in 3 days. Do you want that to happen to us? The captain shook his head quickly. Rule number 2, if we accidentally capture a human, we release them immediately, with apologies and compensation. Rule number 3, if any of our people hurt a human citizen, we turn them over to human authorities ourselves. I will not have my organization destroyed because someone was stupid enough to anger the humans. Similar meetings were happening in criminal organizations across the galaxy. The word was spreading quickly. Humans were off limits. But the most important meeting was happening in a much quieter place. Captain Deho was back on his ship, the Wandering Star, which had been repaired and refitted by Human Defense Command. His crew was gathered around the table in the ship's common room, sharing a meal and talking about their recent adventure. So what happens now? Myung asked. Do we go back to normal cargo runs? That's the plan, Deho replied. We're still merchants and traders. That hasn't changed. But everything else has changed, Hyan Wu pointed out. The whole galaxy knows about human military power now. They'll treat us differently. Jin-A nodded. I've been reading the news reports. Other species are calling humans the sleeping giants and the hidden warriors. Some of them seem scared of us. Deho thought about this. He had never wanted to be feared. He had always preferred making friends to making enemies. Fear isn't what we want, he said finally, but respect is important. If other species respect human citizens, they're less likely to threaten us or cheat us or try to take advantage of us. And if they do threaten us, Myung added, they now know what the consequences will be. Exactly. The galaxy is safer for humans now, not because we're more aggressive, but because everyone understands that we protect our people. As they talked, Deho's communication system chimed with an incoming message. The screen showed Admiral Sojin calling from Luna Base. Captain Deho, she said when he answered, I wanted to personally thank you for your service to humanity. Your capture gave us the opportunity to demonstrate our true capabilities to the galaxy. The result is that human citizens everywhere are now safer. I didn't do anything special, Admiral. I just tried to protect my crew. That's exactly what makes you special, Captain. You put the safety of your people ahead of your own safety. That's the kind of character that makes humanity strong. What happens to Commander Taman and his team, and all the agents who helped rescue me? They returned to their regular duties. Most of them will go back to their cover identities and continue their work. The galaxy still needs to be watched, and humans still need to be protected. And Exmore surrendered to human authorities yesterday. He's facing trial for kidnapping, slavery, and numerous other crimes. His organization no longer exists. After the call ended, Deho looked around at his crew. These people had risked their lives to help save him. They were not soldiers or spies or secret agents. They were just ordinary humans doing their jobs and taking care of each other. But that was the secret of human strength. It wasn't advanced technology or hidden weapons or secret military bases. It was the simple fact that humans protected each other. When one human was threatened, all humans responded. So Hyunwoo said, breaking the silence. Where to next? Captain Deho smiled and activated the ship's navigation system. Kepler Station. We still have a cargo delivery to make. The wandering star moved away from the dock and headed toward open space. But this time, other ships in the area moved respectfully out of their way. Word had spread throughout the galaxy about what it meant to threaten a human crew. As they traveled toward their destination, Deho noticed something interesting. They were receiving friendly greetings from ships of many different species, not fearful messages or suspicious challenges, but genuine expressions of respect and goodwill. The galaxy had learned that humans were not to be trifled with, but it had also learned that humans were still the same peaceful, friendly species they had always been. The only difference was that now everyone understood the price of threatening them. The new balance was working. Criminals feared humans, but honest species respected them. Pirates avoided human ships, but legitimate traders welcomed them as partners. And somewhere in the deep space between the stars, other human agents continued their quiet work, watching and protecting and making sure that no human citizen would ever again face what Captain Deho had faced. The galaxy was a safer place for humanity. And humanity was exactly what it had always claimed to be, a peaceful species that wanted to explore, trade, and make friends throughout the galaxy. But now, everyone knew the other side of that peaceful nature. Cross a human, and you crossed all of humanity, threatened one human citizen, and you found yourself on every kill list in the galaxy. It was a lesson that would not be forgotten. Years later, when young aliens asked their elders about the Vorthok War, the old ones would shake their heads and tell the same story. They took a human, the elders would say, just one human, and that was the end of them. The moral of the story was always the same. Never underestimate the species that chooses peace over war, because when they finally choose war, they are very, very good at it. Captain Deho and his crew continued their trading missions throughout the galaxy, carrying cargo and making friends just as they always had. But now they traveled under the protection of a reputation that had been earned in blood and fire. They were humans, and everyone in the galaxy knew what that meant.